Do you want to show my shoes?
Yeah, I want to see the. Here, I'll just point it down. Like she can point to the holes.
Yep.
If that's okay.
No, that's fine.
We'll point to them. Like
oh. Yeah, I can try and lift it up.
Yeah. And that's because of how the walk.
Right, and it's just the right foot. The left foot, you can see it's not nearly as bad. Yeah. And there's nothing on the bottom.
Yep.
So
how often do you break your shoes?
If I'm lucky, every 3 months. Sometimes it's shorter than that.
You walk, you just go, you just keep going.
I just keep going. I guess like my whole thought process with my life is that I was given this challenge, this disability, if you want to call it that, to spread a message of hope. So I'm Cassi Baird. I am 26 years old. When I was born 10 weeks early, and so because of that and the lack of oxygen to my brain and my underdeveloped lungs, I got cerebral palsy.
I think if you really want to understand her, we really do have to go back to her birth. And I remember getting a phone call at work, and the doctor says you need to get to the hospital real quick. Your wife is hemorrhaging, and I don't think I can keep them both. Finally, the doctor came in, and this was probably, after waiting 7 or 8 hours, it was the whole day. And he came in and he said, well, I think your wife will be okay, but your child will not make it through the night. In fact, if you want to see her before she dies, you better come in right now.
Well, at this point, though, I think was when I remember this vividly, I reached up to the doctor and I pulled on his collar and I pulled him down close to me and I said, you have to let my husband give her a blessing.
And so he just kind of said to Lisa, don't worry, we'll take care of it. And then he motioned to me, and I then went with him into the delivery room, and there probably were 20 doctors. Valhalla is a teaching university, and so there were doctors and lots of students around, and there were more wires. There were so many wires in her head and in her heart and on her legs and feet, you could hardly even see her. And the doctor came in and he said to the group, this is her father, he wants to give her last rites. And that was a little bit awkward. And I said, well, can I touch her? And he said, sure. And so I went ahead and put my hands on her head, and as I went to do that, all the instruments went flatline, and all the bells and alarms went off, and as if she had died. And when that happened, the doctors just kind of stood back. It was like the parting of the Red Sea. They just stood back, and I walked in, and I just remember giving her a blessing, and as I stood and was doing that, all the machines lit up again. And the doctor, he pushed me away. He said, okay, your God's done his thing, now it's our turn. And they literally just pushed me to the side, and they went to work. And for the next 2 or 3 weeks, that was the routine. And I would sit by Lisa, and then they would come in and say, we need one of your blessings, and I'd go, and then they'd push me away, and they'd do their thing, and then they'd come back. And at one time I remember the doctor coming in and saying, and I think you were alert at this point, but he said, we need to make a decision if you really want to save her, if you want to keep her. Because if she remains alive, she'll be a vegetable. She'll never walk. She'll be bound in a bed her whole life. Don't know if she'll have any cognitive thoughts at all. She'll have absolutely no use of her arms or her legs. She'll have to have machines to keep her alive. And we recommend that you terminate her life. And that's just kind of been the whole history with Cassi, is that everyone has constantly told us and told her, you can't do that. And it's almost that she could hear them saying, no, you're not going to make it through the night. And she would say, oh yeah, I'll show you. Oh, you won't walk. Oh yeah, I'll show you. You won't talk. Oh yeah, I'll show you. And there's been this competitive battle with the whole medical industry, and she just continues to defy.
When I was born, it took me a while to learn to even crawl and be mobile. And when I started walking, I walked on my tippy toes, and then I had a surgery that made it so I could walk flat-footed. And then when I was 12, I had another surgery where they broke my hips and rotated them out 45 degrees. And so I walked a little better, but then it caused me to wobble when I walk a little bit back and forth. In my family, I was treated as normal because, you know, they told me that I could do whatever I wanted. So I played soccer, and I played softball, and I played the piano and different things like that. And I didn't realize that I was doing it different, because to me that was normal. Until I started going to school and got a little older, and I realized that I was different. And people would tease me, or people would say, you can't do this. So I realized I was different, but I didn't let that stop me. I just said, you know what, I may be different, but I can do it as long as I do it in a different way. So softball, my dad would have to help, and soccer, I'd use my walker, and I wasn't good, but I wanted to just say that I did it, and I wanted those pictures with me holding the bat, standing up with the hat on, you know. And so I think one of the biggest things for me was when I was 14, I wanted to do a beauty pageant. In fact, I didn't even realize that's what it was. Like, I heard about it on the radio, so I was like, oh, I kind of want to do that. And actually, my sister had done a couple, and I wanted to be like her and say, you know, if she can do it, I can. So I did this beauty pageant, and you know, you do the interview where they get to know you, and then you get to dress up in the fancy dresses and model and stuff. And I used my walker, and I remember the very first pageant that I did, one of the questions was, why did you choose to do this beauty pageant? I distinctly remember saying, because I want to show people that just because I have a disability doesn't mean I can't do what I want. If I didn't have that attitude, like, I would be miserable, but I can do anything like anybody else, and really everybody has disabilities. Some you can see, and some are internal, but anybody can do anything that they want as long as they put their mind to it. I actually have a job. I went to college and got the degree in social work, so I work for the district attorney's office, and my job is a victim counselor. So I work with victims of pretty heinous crimes, the worst crimes you could think of, sexual assaults, domestic violence, homicides, and I work with the victims when they have to go through the court process. If we are not moving forward in our life, then we are just being wasteful, and it's disrespectful. We were given the opportunity to live on earth and to touch people's lives, and if we're so upset or angry about a life circumstance, that's being disrespectful. One of my favorite quotes is by Theodore Roosevelt, and I'm not going to say the whole thing, but the gist of it is, the credit belongs to the man who's actually in the arena, who actually tries at something, and who may fail, but at least he tries. And that's how life should be. It may be scary to move forward and to try something new, but it's scarier to think what would have happened if you didn't.